Hello to all you chainsaw fanatics. My name is Dr. Cutter and I want to welcome you to the Chainsaw Hospital. I'm going to give you a little backstory on Chainsaw Hospital and how it kind of came to be. And so what happened was I was working on a saw one day, and I was pulling a new fuel line in there, and I got to thinking, you know, that the fuel line was actually degraded by alcohol or ethanol in the fuel. And so I got to thinking to myself that this fuel line suffered from alcohol poisoning, and it had cirrhosis of the fuel line. And so I kind of kicked around in my brain a little bit, and I got to thinking about making a channel on YouTube, you know, as kind of a chainsaw hospital, or really, this isn't necessarily going to cover just chainsaws. It's going to be all things two-stroke, and I love two-stroke motors. I love working on them. So you might see weed eaters, chainsaws, obviously, outboard motors, pumps, anything else. Hedge trimmers, pole saws, you know, whatever we can come up with and work on. And you might see a few other little things, not necessarily directly related to two strokes, but maybe chainsaw sharpening, you know, something like that, or some other how to load a weed eater head or something like that. Things like that. So yeah, so the background story of me is I'm from around these parts. I just moved in next to Mr. Cadence there, and he's been a super good neighbor, and we're gonna be able to work together with a lot of these projects, because you know, I'm just a saw wrench, right? You know, so I work on this stuff, and he's gonna be the one really testing it out and making sure it all works. So I'm just gonna give you a quick tour of the hospital itself, and kind of give you a game plan on where this place is headed. And what you're seeing now is the very beginning. So we've got many more things to do in here, and I wanted to bring you guys along for the process. Mr. Cadence made these pieces of slab beech, and I'll put a link to his video up here. He would love for you to go watch that. And so anyways, he made these for me, and I had my buddy Timmy, a friend of the channel, come over, and he gave me a hand putting these in, and we worked out, you know, some of the logistics on handling these things, because they are super duper heavy for one person to manage. And I didn't want to damage these surgical hands here, you know, these fine hands. They really need to stay perfect for all this work we're going to be doing with them. I'm going to have a stainless steel operating table right here, and I'm going to add some lighting, you know, on the ceiling there, and there's going to be a toolbox right around in here somewhere. And then that's going to be a nice place for me to do all this work, and the lighting's going to help you guys see, and I'm going to have some really good camera angles. I'm going to have some vertical, sideways, you know, and some shots from this direction here. And these shelves mainly are for holding chainsaws and whatever we're working on at the time. So that's kind of the goal. I might even put one more at the very top here, if you can see, going from there across, maybe something, you know, that I can put up here in this loft area, we'll call it. So along this wall, you can see Mr. Cadence has his sawmill, his chainsaw mill in here, and there's one of his favorite Robin string trimmers. That was actually his grandfather's string trimmer that was bought in 1987. Been one heck of a machine. It still runs one pull, starts up, no kidding. Anyway, so yeah, Mr. Cadence was telling me all about it. He gushes all over those weed eaters. Anyways, so along here I'm going to have a workbench. There's going to be like a workbench right here, and that's where I'm going to have mounted the chain breaker, chain spinner. Let's see here, probably the grinder. Got an Oregon grinder probably is going to be mounted over here. I don't like having the grinder so close to my you know, the operating table, because it just gets so dirty. And so yeah, that's going to be really nice. And I might even put another table right here, and it's a four-sided, it's a square, and it's what it's going to have. It's got wheels on it, so I might mount the grinder on that so I can roll it over here to the doorway. And I'm going to also put a drill press, because it's really nice to have a drill press sometimes. So that's going to be another project for another day. But along this side, you can see I've got, you know, just some junk piled up there. And what I'm going to have along here, the string trimmers are actually going to be mounted to the wall, kind of, you know, vertically. The motor's up top and the string down at the bottom. And then in front of those, I've got some baker's racks that are on wheels that are, I think they're like 18 inches wide, and they're going to be just setting outside of the weed eaters, kind of along this wall here, and they're on wheels too, so I can roll. And what those will be is actually parts bins for the projects that we're actually doing in here. So they'll kind of be setting right along here. Speaking of projects on the channel, I'm going to show you the very first one. Now I'm going to roll out some other little small videos, little quick repairs and things, but this is going to be the very first project that we're going to work on together. So this is an XL101 from HomeLite, and this was graciously donated to the channel by our friend Kevin. And Kevin, this was his dad's saw that he bought, and Kevin decided that he would like to give it to us for us to work on together. And how awesome is that? So I told him our first project was going to be this saw because, you know, it's really cool. So anyways, I'll give you a quick rundown of this. It's the lightest saw in the famous XL series. Hopefully you guys can see that. It'll say that on there. Lightest saw in the famous XL series. And then over here, it says the same thing right there. So the XL101 and the lightest saw in the famous XL series. Pretty neat. Came with this bar, hard nose organ, and this kind of a safety raker chain on here. It looks like some of the new stuff that's out. I don't have any idea how old the chain is, but you can see it's going to need to be sharpened, cleaned up, tested. I haven't even checked for spark. I haven't pulled it over. Well, I have pulled it over. It wasn't locked up, so I didn't even try to start it. I just tried to see if it was running, or that it was going to possibly run if it actually turned over. So that's about it. So anyways, guys, got this cool stack muffler on here. Super sick. It just goes straight into the cylinder. That's so cool. I mean, this is so vintage, and we're so excited to have it. So yeah, this is exactly how I found it, covered in sawdust and everything. So you and we are going to clean it all up together, and we're going to have a blast doing it. So stay tuned to the channel, guys. There's going to be tons and tons and tons of info on just two-stroke and, you know, outdoor power equipment kind of stuff, because I absolutely love working on that stuff. So again, Dr. Cutter, nice to meet you. Please come back and see us again, and subscribe, because that's really going to help this channel take off where we want it to go. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.